at the moment. But this, like I say, is one of the oldest stations as well, and that building definitely is the oldest in the world, and it's pity it's up for that. And those of you that know Earlstown, like I mentioned, the railway pub, when you got off the train here, just where it says way out over there, and you walk down that side gully, that brings you out to Wargrave Road. There was a massive pub there, just here where the, to show you, if you look where the Earlstown sign is, just on the road, you walk up there, and just on the left there was a massive pub called the Ram's Head, sadly no longer here. And again, they're all set up for the railways, you know, all set up. I'm going to walk the bridge and get a better shot for you, and you can see right over the station. But people don't realise Earlstown Station, how much history it's got. And you see what I mean now, look at that, walking down there at night, on a dark night. Lonely places, lonely places. Oh. And there you go, there's the other line over there, going past the terraced houses. A lot of terraced houses in Earlstown. And obviously that line coming in takes you to Chester. But again, a lot of these bridges, yeah, the echo now. A lot of these are sad that you can't look over. But there you go. That's the line taking you to Chester. Coming all through from Warrington. But they do that so people can't chuck things over. And people can't jump off them as well, which is sad, but sad state of affairs. But so yeah, Earlstown, I always love coming to Earlstown because I'm a St Helens lad, but regarding work and everything, Earlstown's always in my heart, and it's a place I will never forget and I will always defend. But just here, if you look down here now, Ram's Head pub was just down there, right next to the railway. They always had a pub next to the railway. And again, there you go, just you'll see lots about Rainhill trials. And if you're wondering why they were all different trains, because there were 3 on the day. There should have been 10 for the Rainhill trials, sorry. But they weren't reliable, and there's only 3 on the day, and obviously the one that you've all heard for, the Rocket, was the most reliable, George Stephenson, and he built that with his son. Both great engineers. But what a lovely day, but what a lonely station. And it's renowned for it. This part is a triangle station. It's very, very lonely. And again, if you go here, you'll always see these now, as I keep mentioning, but I think it's good that you do talk to us Samaritans. And that's Earlstown Station. Like I say, triangle shaped station. There's only one other in the world, and that's Shipley in West Yorkshire. So again, another first really for Earlstown. But what a lovely day. What a lovely day. But nice to go over the 9 Arches, although we didn't see much because, like I say, it doesn't hang about that Northern Rail Trail. Pretty good, they're always virtually bang on time, within a couple of minutes, you know. caught a few times, get there dead on and you could just miss it. But you can hear your footsteps on steel underneath. But yeah, another thing people don't realise about Earlstown Station as well. Earlstown Station was lucky to survive the Beechings cuts, believe it or not. Because Earlstown Station was down for a Beechings cut in the 60s. And it was earmarked to be closed. A lot of people didn't realise that. And I've done a bit of research on Beeching and his cuts, because it's a name that you could never mention in our house. My dad hated him with a vengeance, and I mean he really did. You just couldn't mention Beeching at all. Anyway, that's a triangle a bit of the station. We're not going to sunny Wales today. You know me, if I'm in Earlstown on a walk, I'll be out for breakfast somewhere. And this morning I'm going to take you to the Nine Arches, and you can have breakfast on me. And like I said to Tony Redmond, I don't get a freebie with my manageress. I pay for my breakfast after a decent walk. But there's the bridge going over to the other side. That's been replaced from what was the older bridge a decade years ago. So that's been replaced. But like I say, it's nice to see the fences up now. They got all fences up, so it makes it a bit more secure for everybody. Morning, mate. And it's a bit more secure, really. But years ago there was nothing, no lights or fences down here. But yeah, when I did the research on Beechings, people don't realise, like I say, you couldn't mention that name in our house. Because my dad had he just didn't like the guy, obviously, because it ended his career on the railways, probably, you know, virtually, because steam got decommissioned as well. But people don't realise how many stations, really, that he closed. And you think, how many stations do you reckon did he close, Dr. Beechings, as we call him? And you'd be surprised. 2,300 stations he closed, Doctor. 2,300 stations. It's hard to believe that, isn't it? That's what he did. And every town virtually had a couple of railway stations. And when me and Tony did Oldham, we started looking up on the facts. Oldham had 22 railway stations. And after Beeching's cuts and everything else, they were left with one out of 22. And that one station was 5 miles outside the city centre. How bad's that? I know they got the metro link now, which is good, and thank God that they have. But yeah, this station was down for a Beeching's cut, and the only thing that it survived was they cut the services. Obviously more went to Shaw Street, which I've done on my blog, and the junction that we passed. So it survived, and thank God it did, because it's dead important, this station. Dead important. Like today, I've come from Sherdley Park and I'm going to Nine Arches in a bit for breakfast. £3 return. £3 return. You know, if I went in the town centre and had breakfast, it cost me £2 for parking. But there you go, there's the ticket office. Again, you can see the style, but you can see the weeds on top of the buildings. There's, you know, they do what they can to maintain the station, and that's about it. As long as it's health and safety, weeds and that don't bother anymore. In my dad's day, every station had a guy responsible for it, and they're all dead proud of him. That's a sign of the times today, unfortunately, especially in my job in retail. Retail's gone. There's no standards. No customer service. They say there is, but there isn't. You're firefighting all the time. And if you go in the supermarket these days, and you've got me on the rant now, what do you see? Self-service tills. And you wonder why some of the youth of today don't interact like we used to do, because they order everything online. You don't really go in shops. If they do, they talk to a computer, scan the groceries. So sad. But I'm going to keep this running and take you down to the Nine Arches and just show you where it is. Well, that's Earlstown Station. I wanted to do it. Remember that, the oldest one. Triangular line, there's only another one in the world. So that's a little bit of history of Earlstown Station. And so glad that Dr. Beeching didn't get his hands on it. And to Fred Weatherall, who I've met many times with my dad, great guy, always loved a pint of Guinness. And I always remember bumping into Fred Bimber when we did our yearly Southport cycling, and we met him at the Steamfair. What a character. A few pints and he'd drive that tractor all around, probably pissed. But one of these characters that'll not come round again. So see you later, Earlstown, on Marks Railway Trails. Again, nice to see the brickwork and the stations. And when you see these places, George Stephenson, what a name. I'm just going to walk you around to the Nine Arches now, show you a little bit of Earlstown, keep it running. But yeah, Dr. Beeching, 5,000 miles of track, 2,300 stations that he closed. How wrong did they get it? Because the motorways they thought were the answer, sadly not. And if you could have all them stations back today, I'm sure you would. Yeah, but Earlstown, like I say, I'd never call it. It's just been underfunded for years. Underfunded for years. A lot of history in Earlstown that you don't realise. And again, if you go down here, the back of Earl Street, you see a lot of the old bridges are still there. And which is nice to see. Nice to see. But I'm going to keep this running. I know it's not a railway walk now, but it's nice to get it on your blog. And that shop there, it's called the Studio, that used to be Hot Wax Records in the 80s. Pete Waterman funded that with a mate, and me and Tom Hawley used to go in there buying all our records. That used to annoy Harry Taylor on the electrical department in his office. Ramshead, we used to go in there on a Friday, me and John Gilmore, who's a DJ on Radio Lancashire now. Again, that's up for sale now. Guaranteed that'll probably end up as flats. But where I'm walking now is Earl Street. And this is why I want to get this on the blog reel. This was my first store, aged 16. This was the St Helens Cooperative Society, and you can just tell with the style of buildings. Upstairs used to be all the furniture. Downstairs they had big bay windows. Here was the electrical department and carpets, and they did all sorts as well. But when I came, it was just furniture and carpets. Again, it got sold many years ago, turned into a nightclub. It's been changed a few times since. And again, it's been changed again. Earlstown Conservative Club, still here. Again, that's been there for donkey's years. And the Wellington pub on the left hand side there, that's been there for donkey's years as well. And again, me and John Gilmore occasionally go for a pint on a dinner hour. You won't get away with it now, would you? You know. But in Alina House days, you know, everybody went to the Lamb on the dinner hour for a few pints and a game of pool. And you'd have your dinner about 11 o'clock because you had to give you extra time in the pub at dinner. You just wouldn't get away with that now. I was going to walk you around to the Nine Arches, and hopefully I can get my camera going in there as well, because Nine Arches pub is full of all the train memorabilia of Earlstown. New Tesco built. It's so sad that the co-op had to go and they shut all the big stores. It's a pity really, because we served the community so well in Earlstown, better than Tesco ever will. And like I mentioned many times, the miners, we looked after them and then they looked after us. Now it might get a bit boring this bit now, but only around the corner. But yeah, Beeching, like I say, a name you can't mention in my mum and dad's house. And I've got a picture at home with Beeching, what my dad did with all the railway lines, showing what they were in the heyday and what they were after Beeching. And you should see where it went from red lines to not as many. It's sad. Earlstown Town Hall, very historic place in Earlstown, and that's being modernised, part of the regeneration, which they should really, because Earlstown's not had a lot of money spent on it for absolutely donkey's years. But yeah, going back to Beeching, when I got on these railway walks, and there's still 4,000 miles to track and 2,000 abandoned stations still left in Great Britain that you can walk. Morning. And here we go. This is destination for breakfast this morning. The Nine Arches in Earlstown. Was originally Nadine's pet shop. If you ever get the chance, you're in Earlstown, come in here and walk it. Cracking breakfast. You've done a right good job on it. Right good job on it. I'm going to finish off in there as well. I'll just show you the behind the scenes really here. If you ever want a decent breakfast, there you go. The Nine Arches. I'll keep it running, and if you look at the plaque there, it's just highlighting the Nine Arches Viaduct, which is nice to see. And then we go and get a pint. Well, not a pint, some breakfast. And there we go. I can't show you all running, but if you look at the top there now, I'm going to finish off here on Marks Railway Trails. If you look at that, I'll keep it on for a bit. That's what it means about eating. But give it a look, give it a try. And I'm going to cut off, get some breakfast. See you soon on Marks Railway Trails.